Hey everyone, Mike Rosehart here. I think we're live. Forgive me, I just have been crushing a lot of stuff today and I need to drink. Not alcoholic. And I need to eat. Are we live? I don't even know if it's live. Let's see here. You are live, it says. I think. Am I live?
I can hear you.
I think I'm live. Oh, okay. Yeah, looks like I'm live. Patel, Tiger Rocks have jumped in. Jonas is on. Hey everyone. I'm gonna have a guilty pleasure. Fish, breaded tilapia, I believe, and fries. So I'm just having a quick lunch. What did I just do and why am I late? Just bought another property. Just inked it minutes ago at 7:02. I was inking a deal. So there you guys go. That's why I'm late. It's a good excuse because we are making money. We're buying properties. Now, forgive me, I'm going to try to have a couple fries here, get some food into me because I've been going all day. I need to eat. That's right, lunch is 7:12. That's how you know you're a hustler. That's how you know you're grinding. So today's video, I want to talk, yes, about real estate because you guys know I got big goals for 2019. Whoa, it's 2019, guys. This Saturday's video, everyone's watching, check out this Saturday's upload. We've got a new banner going on. Big props to Kyle for the cool collage that he did. If you check it out, go to like my home page on my YouTube channel. There's a cool collage of photos, a new banner. Looks pretty cool. That's right. If you guys are eating, shouldn't I get to eat too? Okay, so what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about building versus creating businesses and why I'm going to buy probably 3 to 5 businesses this year, synergetic businesses. Some really cool plans about why you should sometimes buy businesses instead of build them, and sometimes you just need to build them. But talk about business ownership in general. Why? I was reading a Financial Samurai article earlier this week on my mobile. I didn't read the whole thing because I was in between just checking out some private deals and just sitting in my car. But I saw that as wealth progresses, so in the beginning of people's journeys, there's not that much real estate as a percentage of net worth. But as people get wealthier, call it $1 million or $2 million, people tend to have most of their wealth in real estate. If you follow people who have 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 million net worths, almost none of their wealth, around 10%, is actually in real estate. And so people can diversify and own businesses. That is how you build amazing wealth. Real estate, I operate my real estate as a business. So in a lot of ways, Right Way Management is a business, right? My property management company is a business, right? But I want to expand into other synergetic businesses. So for instance, contracting is an easy one for me to grab up and do better than, because there's opportunities for improvement. Pest control, funeral services, old age home, childcare services. I can buy basically pieces that complement my business well, right? We're in talks actually with a couple of businesses I'd like to buy. Got some really big plans to buy some really cool businesses here around the London area and expand different services that we offer that are synergetic. For instance, if we had a bed bug issue at our property, wouldn't it make sense to own a pest control company? Or if we had, for instance, supply furnishings for our Airbnb units, wouldn't it also make sense to have a supplier lined up who distributes furniture? And would it also not make sense if we were building property to invest in a foundation company or invest in a framing company or things like that? So there are ways to buy businesses instead of building them from the ground up. And when you buy into a business, you buy into the expertise and the systems, and most importantly, the people. I like to buy into businesses with staff, key staff in place already. So 5 to 7 to 8 staff in place. That really does ensure that when you're buying a business, you're buying, basically you can step in as the operator and then bring on an operator. So someone young and hungry like myself, train them to be the operator, pay them really well, get them into profit sharing, make it their business, and then move on to the next business. This is what Warren Buffett did. This is how Warren Buffett built his empire, through JVing businesses. So I'm going to make a video in a little bit about let's JV a business. I actually want us to JV some really cool businesses where I'd be the active operator of businesses and we buy them together. And so there'd be ways where we could, basically buy cool businesses together and make great money. So there's some opportunities for that and some senior care stuff we're looking into as well. And there's some really cool sectors throughout the life cycle that I think are really, really cool. These are great questions coming up. I'm going to ask them in just a sec. Love it. Love it. Can I get another bite to you here too? You guys aren't gonna hate me if I take another quick bite. Sorry, I'm just in like a regular shirt. I didn't get a chance to put something nice on. This fish is delicious. Oh my God. Fish is great. It has omegas in it. It has like a whole bunch of different nutrients in it that help build your brain, keep you strong, especially when, like me, I spent 5 hours last night doing a strategy session with my business partner in the boardroom until 4 in the morning, nearly. And we laid out a sick game plan for 2019 and how we're going to expand into different businesses that are synergetic to our main business. And of course, growing property management, very important. The reason we didn't buy a business, the reason we built our own, because I had the expertise in-house. I already had a lot of the systems. We're still developing and building systems, but we figured it made more sense to build it from the ground up, as opposed to spending $100,000 and buying a property management company with a couple of staff and systems. We thought, well, most of the property management companies that I looked at anyway, they were outdated. Their systems were bad. Their property managers were bad. I didn't want to buy a bad business. So instead, I'm going to reinvent my own. But yeah, just oven baked. My wife took care of it, actually. It's a good video. We should talk about that, about Meet Kevin's. I just saw that comment pop up. And I don't want to, I'm definitely not going to shit on Kevin or anything like that at all. I think he's a great real estate agent and really smart guy when it comes to business. You can make money in construction. You definitely can. You just have to be very good at quoting your jobs and very good at sourcing materials. And you have to be very keen on who you hire, because there's a lot of bad construction workers, like 7 out of 10 are bad. And so find those guys that are really good, really efficient, focus on the bottom line. If you had a really good team in place and you're doing the right projects, you can make money in the construction business. You definitely can. But again, it is a very dicey one. Tough to do, tough to make it happen. I think I have a set of skills that give me an advantage, and we deliver more value than just construction. Like if I were to start a construction company, what I would do is deliver more value. So in the vision side of things, we deliver a ton of value. We could do a renovation for 30 or 40,000, but create $60,000 in equity for the owner of the property we're investing in, because we've created a secondary dwelling unit. And we've done this in a way that the vision aligns to maximizing rental income. So we come at it with a slightly different angle, and I think that gives us an edge. I think Kevin was using the construction business more to complement his real estate services. So he was listing a house and he would offer to do all the floors and make it really nice for the listing. He would put new floors in, whatever, fix that for his client, because he was getting $20,000 or $30,000 commission checks probably. And so he was funneling a lot of his real estate commission into this construction company. And I think it was losing money mostly because of that, right? So you have to make sure that you're not over promising at the same time, because if you promise too much and you can't deliver on that, you're going to lose money. And then you'll go down. It's very easy to go down in construction. A lot of construction companies do go down. Okay. Let's see here. Make sure you ask questions that circle me back to why to buy versus build a business, and why I think we should be JVing businesses, not just properties. I think there's opportunity there. Okay. Don't people sell businesses when they think they can't add any more value? And whoever buys a business is often overpaying in terms of goodwill. Michael Chung, it's a great educated question to ask. So goodwill is an intangible asset. It sits on a balance sheet effectively to describe. So imagine you have a business owner and he's got connections with all these different people. All of that goodwill, that brand, is like an intangible asset that once that person leaves, you could theoretically lose that. So that's, I think, part of what you're talking about. People are overpaying for that goodwill. Often when the owner of a small operating business leaves, a lot is lost, right? Especially if that transition is not handled well. What I'd like to get into, and so to answer your first part of your question, do people always sell businesses that they think are at the tapped out most value? No. Almost all businesses that are sold because of divorce, retirement, people changing industries, people are just getting tired. Often, if you're succeeding in your business and you're growing and building your business, you don't want to sell your business. Most of the time, it's mom and pop. I've got a restaurant. They expand to a second location, whatever. Then they get tired. They've been busting it for 15 years. They're 55 years old. They're getting tired. They want to retire. That's when you can come in. And maybe the way they were doing some things is really good, And you should take that and utilize that. But as a business consultant, this is what I would do, is go in and look for ways to become more efficient. Is there a way to get the material costs down? Is there a way to maybe boost their marketing presence? Could we want to get them ranked on Google so that they'd be the place to go for Chinese cuisine? Maybe it's about, so there are certain strategies you can use to build a business, but I think there are a lot of ways to add value to businesses. Sometimes it's cost control, right? Sometimes it's operational efficiencies. So things like basically the way McDonald's made anything possible, right? They have manuals and books to do everything, 20 steps to make fries, right? So they systematized everything and made it idiot-proof. Basically made their operations super efficient. You do that exact same system that Toyota put in place in their manufacturing plants to make them world leaders, or the way McDonald's did the same thing. You take some of those systems and some of those intricacies that make those businesses really efficient and successful, you apply them to other businesses that could learn and stand to gain. Sometimes it's two businesses. You see two businesses, each in isolation, that together with synergies are much, much more efficient. And so you could buy two businesses and merge them together, or provide complementary services between the two businesses. Sometimes it's dissolving the business. You buy a business and you sell off pieces of its assets, and the assets are worth more separated than they are together. That's another strategy people use all of the time. And so that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. I like to buy businesses that have, like if I was going to be buying a business, I'd want it to not just be like a guy who's been an owner operator for a long time, because the problem with that is if he's gone, there is no business, right? You want to have a business with systems and people in place and a long-standing brand. If they have any intellectual property or something that makes them unique, that gives value. But no, most people actually don't sell their business. Most of the time, it's, the husband's been grinding for 25 years, the wife's in the business, the husband dies or gets sick and has a car accident and dies. The wife's like, what do I do? I need to sell this business. That's where you can go in and get a really good deal on a business and provide a win-win solution, because the business is falling apart without someone stepping in as an operator. So I would go in there and I would basically appoint someone to run in that guy's position, learn everything there is to know about that business, and then basically improve that business. You could then flip that business. There are people who flip businesses for a living, or you could merge that business with someone else. So you could say, maybe just use an example. You bought a restaurant, and there was two good restaurants in town that did the same kind of stuff. You could buy both restaurants and combine them, and then basically have no competition, right? So you create there's just so many different angles, and it's hard to kind of hypothesize what those angles might be, but within each business, you'll find there are ways to improve and become more efficient. And oftentimes, accountants are really good at evading tax. And so businesses have lower stated net operating incomes than they actually have, because the owners went and spent a bunch of money to try to create write-offs, and the accountants throw a ton of write-offs towards their business to make their taxable income lower. Then they use those same financials to determine the valuation of the business. And oftentimes, it trades on a multiple of either revenue or net operating income, right? And so if it's trading on net operating income and all those expenses are kind of in the, trading on profit effectively, and the profit is artificially low to reduce tax, which is the accountant's mindset, you can get in there and get a deal. Just by removing some of those write-offs, you can see the true profit of the business is often much higher. Or maybe the owner's being inefficient about how they do some things. Maybe they have two guys going to a job site when you could have one guy do that job and reduce costs by 50%. So just little things like that where you can improve efficiencies, or you can make a huge business. So that's something that I've always been interested in and doing more of. So Patel says, I saw you posted a picture of your daughter's swimming lesson. Do you budget for your daughter's extracurricular activities? Patel, yeah. So we have a YMCA membership, super cheap. I don't even know. It's like $50 or something a month. And that gets her 3 activities. So we can go to the pool anytime we want. We get swim lessons. She gets soccer lessons. And I think there's like a gym play thing that she gets access to as well. There's another extracurricular as well. But yeah, it costs almost nothing for extracurriculars at this point. That's where it starts costing money if she was like to do horseback riding, for instance. What I would do, what I do for my wife actually, to get our costs down. My wife's a horseback rider. And so when we were, my wife was like 19, 20, she had an urge to horseback ride again. And I was like, well, let's find a frugal way to do this, because I really want to retire. And I know you really love horseback riding. So let's find a way to win-win. And so we effectively found an ad for someone who had a horse 10 minutes from where we live, just out in the country there, 10 minutes from in the city. And they needed someone to go by and groom the horse 3 times a week. And so it was almost like a position they were asking for, but the horse needed to be ridden to stay healthy, etc. And so we worked out a deal where she had to ride for free. All she had to do was literally go out there and groom the horse 3 times a week. And so she decided just to ride those 3 times a week, keep the horse, healthy and look out for the horse and care for it, because the other person had to travel for work or whatever it was. There you go. A hobby like horseback riding, which should cost, if you stable your own horse, $1,000, $1,500 a month for zero, nothing. The gas to drive out there, which is literally nothing. Sorry, I'm getting some calls here. Silence. Yeah, so there's always a way to find something more economically. Maybe you volunteer and you find a deal on whatever it is, a soccer club or something to that effect. So there are always ways to find discounts on things. And we literally only have a membership just for my daughter. And the loophole is the parent gets in for free with the child's membership. So we only have one membership. Most people will go buy a family membership and buy 3 memberships to the YMCA. So we just find ways to do everything just slightly more efficiently. But of course, I do budget for my daughter's extracurricular. As she moved out of diapers and became potty trained, we actually end up saving money now with her doing extracurriculars. We spend less. I think I budget maybe with food and everything, $100, $150 a month for a kid. Our ESP, Registered Education Savings Plan, which is just saving for her future, that's not really an expense, but I put a couple $100 into that on average, so that she'll have $70,000 or $80,000 when she turns 18. I can use to buy her first house hack. So I'm not going to pay for education, but I will get her first house hack and give her the keys to the kingdom and say, this is how you go about living for free. You'll have no living costs through your time in university. If you're smart, we've got a house that's big enough that you can use the house hacking to pay your tuition. So you're set up with a scenario where you can succeed if you choose to be entrepreneurial, if you choose to follow the life of fire. So that's what I believe, and I believe her having to work for and earn her education, she'll appreciate it that much more and work that much harder. If she chooses to go to post-secondary, she probably will. She's a smart girl. She's 2.5, 2 3/4, and she can count to 20. Like, my daughter is like a genius. It's insane. I'm so proud of her. But great question about budgeting for your kids and how do you go about doing that. And kids are a lot cheaper than you might think, and you'd be surprised how often at Christmas, if you plan things over Christmas and birthdays, that family and friends will get those things that the child actually needs more often than not. And so you can kind of plan those out to keep your costs super low, and instead of getting toys that they don't really need or use. A couple of nice toys are good enough, and you can go on Free Cycle. There's their website, or there's a whole bunch of websites where you can get free stuff people are just giving away because their kids grew out of it. So that's a great way to get clothes and toys and stuff like that. Okay, great question. Mr. Beefy, how's it going? Good to see you on. Didn't meet Kevin. Yeah, we did that question already, that he lost $300,000. Yeah, so great video series. I actually like those videos to put up. It costs $7 to change a light bulb. Now, it's a little bit different here in Ontario, and you could work theoretically with independent contractors entirely and just be a manager of independent contractors effectively, and that would be a way that you could avoid a lot of the costs you talked about, as an example, and make the independent contractors get their own insurances and whatnot. And so that's one idea to kind of reduce cost and be more efficient about how you do things. For instance, you don't change one light bulb. You send them there to do a lot of work, and then the light bulb doesn't end up costing near as much because they're already changing the floors. So change the light bulb takes a minute. So you just have to be efficient about how you utilize your guys and how you make them provide their own vehicles. For instance, they already have them. It's a lot cheaper than me buying a vehicle dedicated for the work and paying insurance and all of these things. It's really expensive. So there are ways to streamline the business, I think. But again, construction, tough industry. Connor asks, in your Excel tool, why don't you subtract taxes from your net benefit value? Okay, so Connor, the reason I don't subtract taxes from net benefit is I like to look at things before tax, and everyone has a different tax situation. So for myself, if you're making $20,000 a year in Canada, you pay almost no tax. There basically is no tax. And so in that case, if you're just having 1 or 2 rental properties, which my original plan when I built that Excel was to have 4 or 5 rental properties that produce around $5,000 a month, $2,500 for myself, $2,500 for my wife, so $5,000 in total, but around $24,000 something each. And at that point, we'd have almost no tax, right? So there really was no tax. Now, as you get more and more properties, you start to have tax, of course, and you'll have to put in your tax rate. But if I put in a tax rate, then here's the thing. Everyone's tax rate's different. It's the same reason that the reason the cap rate formula doesn't include interest in it, right? Because everyone finances their property differently. Some people buy in cash. Some people can borrow at 2%. Some borrow at 10% interest rate. So everyone's financing cost is different. So the cap rate formula literally leaves out financing costs in the same way that my net benefit looks at what is the net benefit before tax, because everyone's situation with tax is different. Give it to one investor who has no tax liability because he has deferred losses from a previous business, or maybe he's unemployed right now and it's a totally different situation. So I don't want to have the tax kind of convolute things. I invest before tax. The tax is the same for you no matter what. So I might as well look at what is this investment, these two investments, how do they play out before tax? So that's the reason I do what I do. Of course, you can play in different arrangements. I find with smaller properties, the cost to start a corporation up, to hold that property in it, and the administrative, the filing costs, the headaches, the accounting costs, the legal costs, all of that is a couple $1,000s. So if you're only making $5,000 in profit on a small, tiny $150,000 property, it makes no sense to own it in a corp, for instance, because your tax burden is like $5,000. Your tax burden is like a 40% tax rate is like maybe $2,000. So your fees to own that, keep that corp going, are more than, right? Unless you set up one corp and had all the properties in that one corp, and then you have no liability protection because all your properties are in one corp anyway. You'd ideally want different corps for each property. And so it really doesn't make sense to have corps unless you have big deals and you're making a lot of money personally as well. So those two things combined. Hope that answers kind of your question there. Okay, let's go up here and see. Only good thing about hump days is this show. Austin, you're the best. Thanks, appreciate that. Yeah, hump day. Man, Wednesdays are always crazy for me. Monday goes crazy, and then Tuesday I'm chasing, trying to catch up. Wednesday I'm always locking up a deal. So I just got a wholesale deal under contract. Oxford and right near Oxford and Highbury, if you know London overall. So kind of great for a fan shower rental, great for a family property. Some potential to duplex it. You probably could, as a separate entrance to the basement, good ceiling height, at least in half the basement, and a nice big egress window already down there. But I think you'd probably make the play for a 5-bedroom, 2-bath with 2 kitchens, and just rent the whole house out, one lease, one group, around probably $2,700 a month. Just pick that for $199,000. Needs a little bit of renovation. Has a nice garage too. Yeah, like it's going to be a 1.5% real deal. Boom. Got 2 more deals I'm working on finalizing later this week as well. So really excited. I love when wholesalers bring me deals. This one was a wholesaler who brought me a deal. I can always close, and I know the market well. So there's a reason they call me. It's just easier for them. That's what the design is supposed to be, is it's easy. Don't judge, I'm using ketchup. Oh, I need a sugar boost right now. Okay, let's keep going. What are your thoughts on the Manulife One Mortgage for rental? Mr. BP971. You know what? You bring up a good point. So the nice thing about using a HELOC or some product like that, sorry people, I'm a real human being. You've never seen me before on camera. Now you have. Okay, so the Manulife all-in-one account, my understanding of that is that it's like a checking account and a HELOC all-in-one. And so you just deposit all of your, your cash and whatever you normally would, all your transactions, you use one account for. Let's say you get paid on Friday, $2,000 goes into your account, you collect some rent from the tenant, $4,000 goes into your account. Say that's sitting in a bank account doing nothing for you. It's automatically applied against the balance on your Manulife One account mortgage. So it's basically like a giant HELOC, effectively. I have bank accounts at TD. I don't even have a bank account at TD, for instance. I have a line of credit at TD. No monthly fee, 100% free. Often they even give me free drafts because I'm borrowing money at an interest cost. So they will even give me free stuff because they know they're going to make money on the interest. But I use my line of credit as if it's a bank account anyway. And then you just deposit any money on your line of credit and it automatically pays down the balance. So if you put $2,000 in parked, you could park your last month's rent from a tenant in the account. And that $2,000 from that tenant would save you, say, 5% interest over the next however long it's sat in that account. And the idea is that all your available cash, oh, I just kicked the camera. My bad. Sorry guys, we're good. We're good again. One of the advantages of that is that money you have sitting there in cash is effectively sitting against your line of credit on your Manulife One account. The downside to it, of course, is, one, your cash could be doing more for you than maybe paying down the mortgage balance. And 2, the more important reason, actually probably should have made it the other way, this is more important than 1, is you'll find that the interest rate is slightly higher for the Manulife product. It's not as, it's like prime plus, as opposed to most mortgages are prime minus. percentages of interest. So it's a much more expensive product. That's why I don't like it. But I guess from a tax perspective, it can really make a lot of sense to go into something like a HELOC because you can do the Smith maneuver. Smith maneuver basically is saying, if I take $200,000 in cash and I buy a property, I don't get to write any interest off. My money doesn't have any write-off. If I go take that $200,000 in cash instead, pay off my HELOC, $200,000 down, your home equity line of credit, right, or a line of credit of some sort, pay it down $200, then take $200 out of my HELOC and directly trace it to the purchase of the property, all of the interest on my personal mortgage, right, that normally isn't tax deductible, becomes tax deductible against that investment property. So you don't want to ever use your own cash to buy properties. You want to put your cash on a line of credit, use the line of credit to buy the property. Or if you just have a line of credit or a HELOC, use that line of credit and directly trace that transaction to the purchase of the property. And then you can even use that for your down payment. And then 100% of the purchase price of the property becomes a tax write-off and keeps your taxes much lower. It's a strategy that I'm a big fan of. So from that sense, from a tax planning perspective, there's a ton of advantages for using a HELOC. You should never use your own cash to buy properties. You should get a line of credit to do that and then write the interest off. I mean, it's up to you guys. I guess if you have cash sitting there doing nothing, might as well put it to work. Okay. Do you use cash basis or accrual accounting? Cash basis mostly. Yeah. There are advantages to both. I mean, in real estate, I like cash. Cash-based accounting. It's just my preference. What would you do with 120K of unsecured lines of credits? Asking for a friend, Jake. So, I'd probably, it depends. Depends on whether you could qualify for a mortgage right now or whether 120K is all that you have. 120 grand, you could maybe buy a property in London, like something small that wouldn't, yeah, you could buy stuff in London, but it wouldn't be a great property. It wouldn't have a lot of cash flow. It'd have a little bit of cash flow. Depending on the rate of interest of your line of credit, it may not have hardly any cash flow at all. Depends on your level of expertise as well. You could buy 120 grand could buy a decent business that could create tens of thousands in cash flow. So investing in businesses is great because the payback is pretty good. Again, higher risk than say real estate, especially if you don't have the expertise in business, right? Real estate's more of a safe bet. If you're an idiot, it's hard to screw up in real estate. It's easier to screw up in the business world, I think, but it's also easier to make a ton of money in the business world. So it really does depend. If you could lever that capital up, then 120 grand goes pretty far. If you get a commercial property and get a mortgage on the property itself, because commercial property qualifies for mortgages on its own, right? Without necessarily a personal guarantee sometimes. Now, they'll still last for personal guarantees, but effectively, you get an advantage in that you could maybe take 120 grand and buy a $400,000 building potentially with a commercial mortgage on the first mortgage on the property and then using your line of credit for the remainder. A lot of banks don't like to see you using a line of credit as a down payment. Most A lenders won't like that. They want to see the cash. So you have to draw it down, show 90 days in cash, and then say I'm making payments on my student line of credit or home equity line of credit. Depends if it's a HELOC or not. If it's a HELOC, you can do whatever you want. It can be used as down payment proceeds, but if it's just a standard line of credit and you're actually borrowing that money, it's not based on any equity, it will be difficult. So it really does depend on the circumstances. But yeah. Financial investor, kids, yep, pretty spendy. True. Although parents really are the spenders, the kids don't really do much spending at all. Once they're out of diapers, those $40 a month costs go down though. Yeah, they do. We did cloth diapers actually. We did a combination, but we used a cloth diaper and it was actually not bad at all. We just invested $200 in a bunch of cloth diapers, like 40 or 50, like a lot. Really good quality ones. And they had liners that we just threw the liners out. There was the liners cost 3 cents each and you laid the liners in. So it was 3 cents, and then you'd throw the liner away if it catches the poo, and then just the pee would be stuck in the cloth diaper. You'd wash that, in a washing machine on a high sanitization type cycle. And we sold the cloth diapers. Actually, we still have some of them, but we sold some of them for more than we bought them for because they got such a good deal on Kijiji. So diapers were I made money on diapers in some ways. It's one way to think about it. If you have the time and the energy. We used disposables when we were traveling and stuff like that. But yeah, there's always a way. If there's a will, there's a way. You can find a way to optimize or hack pretty much anything, including having kids. So kids aren't an excuse. People use all these excuses for why they can't save money, why they can't retire. It's not a good enough excuse. Find a way. Is more land mainly just a wasted extra cost? I'm so confused. Is more land mainly just a wasted extra cost? I don't know. Oh, so I think I understand what you mean, Snake Eyes 11. By the way, good to see you on. I love that I think it's South Park, like big guy. I love that thumbnail. Great episode. Actually, anyway, that was a little tangent. So I think you're talking about if you buy a property with, say, an adjacent parcel of land that's not severable, or like maybe it's a property with a big lot. What do you do with a property with a big lot? Oftentimes, your property taxes are higher, your value of your property is higher, and you can't get any more rent for the land. Great point. Now, what do you do with a property like that? We're actually buying a property in London right now with a huge lot, just like that, 53 by 175, I think it is, and bought the property for 175 grand here in London. It's a detached bungalow. Great price for a property, bit far out towards the edges of London, but I would probably put an addition on the back and do secondary dwelling unit. Secondary dwelling unit, you can do an addition on the back of the house up to 40% of the size of the original house and basically create a semi-detached dwelling. And it's all legal under the secondary dwelling unit rules. So you don't just have to finish a basement to get a secondary dwelling unit. You can actually build on. So that's what you do is you'd either build a garage and then put basically an apartment in the garage, or you would some form thereof that. Basically is what you would do. You'd use the land. So you have to utilize the land, put a garage on it, put some sheds on it, and charge for storage. You've got to make use of the land. Otherwise, the land's just sitting there. Some people buy properties. The house is literally just there to cover costs because they're planning to develop the land long term. I don't think that's a smart or sound investment decision because you're speculating. I'm not a speculator. So I like to put my land to use right away or have a plan for it. So yeah, I guess if you just had a big lot on a property, it's nice to have. Tenants might appreciate it, but it might not get you much more cash flow rent. Sometimes it can. Sometimes a big lot could get you $50 a month more. Jaden, good to see you on. Austin says, hey Mike, wondering what renovation updates do you consider over renovating for a C area rental property, i.e. or e.g. granite countertops? Austin, great question. So I have a really good quartz guy who does like my quartz counters, quartz and granite. And I'll only put them in a B+ rental. So if I had a property on like Hamilton Road, Hamilton and Egerton, I wouldn't put quartz counters in. I would get the IKEA fake quartz for like $90 for an 8-footer and put those in. So it looks like quartz, but it's like super cheap. Over renovating is a problem because if you put in a lower class tenant, they won't appreciate the quality of the finish and they won't pay you an additional amount for that. Oftentimes those C neighborhoods, what you'll find, the tenant who's looking for that higher end finish doesn't want to live in that area anyway. So you're not going to get those extra rents in the same way that you would in an A neighborhood where they're expecting quartz. So yeah, it is one of those things kind of where you gotta make the call. I have seen it done though in C neighborhoods where people put in really nice finishes, put it on Airbnb, and even though they're in a C area, they're getting those A rents. So it kind of depends. It really does. There's no cut and dry. I've seen it go both ways. Depends on location. Land in the city doesn't help the appraisal. Yes, if you had a nice lot outside the city with a barn, nice land size attached to it. Yeah, financial investors got it right. It definitely does depend on location. Depends on a lot of factors actually, beyond even just location, for sure. Michael, is your partner the wholesaler on the team? No, no, technically not. I have wholesalers that I work with that I would consider friends who bring me deals first, and I'm working on an exclusive with a wholesaler, 2 wholesalers right now, where they bring all of their deals to me first. They literally don't call anyone else, and I will take I will sign an agreement that I will take, if they do 50 deals this year, I will take all 50. And so that's a guarantee. We'll do some sort of agreement like that where it's a guarantee. And that's really important, I think, to us. Exclusivity is important. I don't share my trades. The first thing people ask me is, can you share your trade? Can you share your wholesaler? Can you share, right? And so like the problem with that is then if I were to, the reason I take all the deals from the wholesaler is because if I start saying I only want half your deals or only send me these type of deals that meet these criteria, they're going to find that there's someone else. They're going to start sending deals to that person. Whoever calls them most recently is going to get the deal, or whoever they like that day, or whoever they feel would be a better fit, which is, again, their call. I'd rather be with the one making the call. So I get first pass on certain deals because I've built a reputation that I always close every single time. And my wholesalers get paid, always. So that's something you want to do in the market if you're going to be expanding. Problem is, if you're just starting out, you couldn't make that promise to a wholesaler that you could take 30 of their deals. And so you want that exclusivity that you get. Oops, I just kicked the camera. I get a stand again. I'm sorry. There, fix it. Better? Yeah, so what do you do to get the really sweet deals? I guess you partner with someone like us who, like myself, we do a JV or maybe buy a property and we manage it for you, that kind of thing. But yeah, that's how you work with there are certain pros who have insider information and stuff like that. So that's how you get in with those guys, because believe it or not, you can buy property with inside information. That's the beauty of wholesaling. That's the beauty of off-market deals, for sure. Tasty. Alan Lawrence retracted his question, so I don't know what he said. Reed says, what's the best way for a foreigner to invest in London, Ontario? I'm currently in Perth, Australia, and would love to invest in foreign countries. How would I go about that? You can invest. London has no foreign buyer tax, so you could theoretically just buy a property here in London, no problem. You could invest here in London into real estate and buy properties here. I think that it's getting the financing, which can be tricky. So yeah, if you had cash or a home equity line of credit, you could just go buy properties here all day long. Yeah, the challenge is the financing. I do know some people who have, I know Americans who bought properties here, so they'd be foreigners because they're U.S. citizens, not Canadians. And they were able to get, some of them were able to get mortgages 75% loan to value. So you just can't do less than that, I don't think. If you were once a Canadian citizen and moved away, then I know people who have done that and able to buy properties here. So yeah, you can buy properties here. Jonas, what are some things you'll be having your mentees be doing for you? Jonas, it's a good question. I think the mentorship program is like a supreme coaching program. Like, instead of me calling my mentees every week and doing like the Stefanario style of coaching calls and whatnot, and it's disgusting. Like, go look at some of the programs like Stefanario's that charge $50,000 a year for their coaching program, and you get like a weekly call, and they come and visit you like 3 times a year. That's what you get for like 50 grand. Instead of that, I'm like, ew, I could never charge that kind of money. That feels disgusting and wrong. I'm saying, okay, what does a mentee have? Like, someone who's just starting out in real estate, who doesn't have 30 or 40 properties, who's just getting started, they can't afford 50 grand for a coaching program to get the knowledge. And furthermore, I don't think those programs actually work. Most people I talk to that do those programs, they didn't get much success out of it. They buy 1 or 2 properties, and they could have done that anyway without the program. And I've heard from people specifically have taken a bunch of these like Rich Dad Poor Dad type programs that they didn't get a lot of value from it. It was just like a stepping stone. They could have found that on Bigger Pockets or watching channels like mine and learned all the same things. And so I guess my thoughts are, I was sitting here thinking, how do we teach people to invest in real estate? I think the best way to learn something is by doing. That's why university education doesn't teach you how to do anything, right? It teaches the theory behind. I stand corrected. The Ivy program does case-based teaching and learning, which does show you exactly how to analyze real businesses, which is exactly what I do in the real world, is analyze businesses. So the Rich Ivy School of Business was a good use of, their program is good. They're too expensive, I think, but their program is good. But for the most part, coaching is just you get someone who's kicking you in the butt and telling you to do stuff. Now imagine if I could have people come live with me and motivate me, and we could fire each other all up and have this program. I could give a lot more of myself, more time. Do like instead of $50,000 worth of time, give them $250,000 worth of time, and teach them and train them and have them shadow me, right? that would be awesome, right? So my thoughts are kind of like, I want to build a program where people learn by seeing and doing. Talking about the concept is hard. You can't really learn it. You don't really understand what I'm talking about when I tell you how to renovate or something until you've physically seen it, lived and breathed it. You got to be actually in the basement, seeing how it's being done to understand, I think, really truthfully. So that's why the program is the way that it is. And it's because of the belief that someone in the beginning of their journey, they don't have a lot of money, but they have a lot of time. And in the beginning of your journey, your time is not valuable. Like my time is now, people will pay me $100 an hour to talk to me, like all day long. That's not an ideal use of, I don't want to use my time for that. I don't want to be coaching all day long. It's not something I really enjoy that much. I'll do the off call here or there, maybe. But as now that I'm at this stage in the game, where multi-millionaire, my time is super valuable. I could be making thousands of dollars an hour. So for me, it actually makes sense. And like if someone offered, said, hey, come live with me full time and live and breathe this, and I'll mentor you. I'll be your mentor. I couldn't take that opportunity now. It's crazy. Like I actually could not take that opportunity. I have a family and my time is so valuable here. I'd rather pay someone 50 grand because 50 grand is cheaper to me than a whole bunch of my time. So I thought this program would be kind of cool for people who are just getting started. And the hope is, at the end of this mentorship, is I get to meet these people and have some really cool friends at the end of this program, friends that become part of my A team later on in the journey, and become, people that I'm going to tap on the shoulder when I have this really cool business idea that I want them to run with, or we're going to buy a business and put them in as a key operator, right? And so there's just that's sort of where, like, how I think it can be a win-win relationship. I get nothing for it. I basically have people who are like the mentorship program ideally would be one in which they get to see me do everything that I do, or most of what I do, and then see what people on my team do and follow them around. And so I'm going to bear that cost and they're going to learn. It's way more valuable than a college trades program or a university degree, I think. And you don't have to pay for it. It's free. So I'm pretty excited about the program, and we're going to see what's in store for that. So stay tuned, Jonas. We'll have some private messages about that because I know you're moving tomorrow, the next day. We'll call it Friday to be safe. Looking forward to it. Jaden, same thing. Michael Chung, same thing. Where do you find these selling small businesses at a good price? William, good question. Networking is a big one. Go out to entrepreneurial business meetings. Go out to like coffee meetups with people. There's a bunch here in London. There's like 6 or 7, 8 groups. I'm going to one next week just to meet up people, have some coffee, and talk to like a dozen different business owners. You'll find the business community is very small. Same with the real estate community. It's very small. There's probably like 5,000 players in the market in Canada. Maybe 1,000 players, like top level players and business owners. And I guarantee you all 1,000 of those people are only 1 or 2 degrees separated. So if I can meet any one of those 1,000 people and tell them someone that I know, and they happen to know that person who knows that person as well. So we're only a secondary connection away. The community is really small, which is why you don't want to screw people. Honestly, truthfully, that's the best way to succeed in business, is just be a good person. Don't be unethical in your dealings. How do you find them? Networking. Networking is huge. Going and meeting the right people and talking to the right people. But the biggest thing is going out with your intention. So I just announced to hundreds of people who are going to watch this that I want to buy businesses. Someone's going to reach out to me, I guarantee you, and say, my cousin wants to sell his business in London. Would you take a look? Or he's looking for a capital partner. He wants to expand. He has 2 permits on fry trucks, and he wants to bring in another fry truck, but he needs $20,000 to do that. He's crushing. He's making money hand over fist, but he doesn't know how to manage his money well. He spends everything he gets. He can't even get a bank loan for the 20 grand to expand. That would be an example where we could partner together. I could even, expand that business and invest a bit of capital and blow their business up, and a bit of business expertise and coaching. Because some of these people are most business operators that I've met that are extremely successful are like millionaires next door. High school education, they don't even have the education that you don't need that education to actually succeed in business. Most of these guys aren't Ivy grads. They aren't Harvard grads. They're just average guys. He's a guy who's a contractor, started his own contracting business. He's a guy who did, shoe sales, started his own shoe business. Guy who was a cook at a restaurant, started his own restaurant business. He didn't have any expertise, but he does one thing really well. And that one thing allows them to have a successful business. That doesn't mean that they know how to do the other 10 things that are involved in business well also. And so sometimes having a strategic partner can double or triple the value of a business and be more valuable than the cost to bring that partner on and selling that equity. So that's kind of where you go and find business owners. Okay. I lost my place now. Okay, I found my spot again. Snake Eyes 11. What are your top favorite strategic renovations? Depends on the house. It depends on the area. It's in a student area. Bedrooms. Add more bedrooms. Find ways to make more bedrooms. Bathrooms. Really important. But bed to bath ratio. In a 5-bed, 3-bath house, there's no need to add more bathrooms, probably. In a 5-bed, 1-bath, you need another bathroom. 5 beds, 1 bath is a bad ratio. If you add another bathroom, you could add tens of thousands in value. Whereas maybe if it's already a 5-bed, 5-bath house, adding another bathroom could actually decrease your value. So it really does depend on the house configuration. Your bed to bath ratio is really important. Your living space to bedroom ratio can be important. Your green space can be important. In a basement, sometimes adding a second little kitchenette or another fridge in a garage like little things like that can help a lot. In a multifamily, adding dishwashers and laundry, huge. Your ROI will be like less than a year, like over 100% ROI for adding in laundry and dishwashers. So really smart. Kitchens can be if you're smart. Like if I have a really good set of wood cabinets and a nasty countertop, I'll toss in some quartz, put a nice backsplash up for $1,500 all in, and I've made a kitchen look brand new, which is exactly what I did. A Wedlock, for instance. You paint the cabinets, put a quartz down, and it looks like a nice kitchen now, right? Cost me $1,000 or something, right? I think I got the quartz installed in that place with undermount sink for $950. And the undermount sink was $250. So people think quartz counters or granite cost a lot. Not if you're smart. So just be strategic about how you spend and where you spend. Floors, paint, or other good places to add ROI. Paint can add, if you're like a nasty rose gold colored wall and you change it to a modern, more gray tone that was more neutral, or like a vibrant pink wall, it's like a nice modern gray tone that worked with the space, ton of ROI just by painting. Your can of paint can be worth, in your time can be worth hundreds of % ROI. So yeah, strategic renovation is important. It does depend again on the use of the property, the location of the property. In some cities, I've seen people create duplexes and lose value because single families are more valuable. In London, adding units just adds tons of value. You add another bedroom, you have a tiny house, you add a basement, apartment, anything, you add tons of value, right? Like tens of thousands in value. So it kind of depends on your area. It's so hard to just say there's one blanket statement that works for everything because there just isn't. It's situation by situation, which is why they're like real estate professionals are in this business and continue to be in this business because there is no like you can't just paint the whole wall with one stroke, one brush, right? Just can't do it. I botched that saying pretty bad, but whatever. Tiger Rocks, 120K with the JV, and you're good to go. Good to go for what? Potentially, you could buy a business for 120 grand for sure. For someone who's making a decent income at 70K gross, but hates their current job, do you think it'd be worth it to step away from the job and work as a junior to a successful investor or agent for 30 grand? Yeah, I think that could add potentially. Depends on your personality type, depends on who you're working with and what they're offering. You could go work for someone who's super successful and they could be greedy and not loyal and hide their business from you, in which case you're just taking 30 grand for nothing. So it depends on who you're working for and what they're offering you. Definitely think about those factors. But it could be, I've seen people who have taken mentorships or, I've even worked for free to learn a little bit from people on occasion, and that's paid off in big ways. Okay. What have we got now? Is my sound still on? Yeah, it is. Cool. Okay. Message retracted. Don't know what that says. Connor says, do you claim capital cost allowance? It depends. If you're going to sell like next year, no. But if your tax rate's high, really high right now, it makes a lot of sense, I think, to do some CCA, capital cost allowance capturing. When you sell, you have to recapture again, right? So if you were going to recapture and you're in a lower tax bracket later on, it makes a lot of sense to capture now. If you wanted to sell the property when you're old or when you die and it doesn't matter, then yeah, you should CCA the hell out of your properties. Problem is people do that and they have huge tax liabilities sitting on the books of their rental properties. So nothing wrong with it. I do some CCA. Rather, I will this year, probably. I'm just going to look at it case by case basis. Depends on where my income comes in at. Austin says, and by the way, since you're going full steam ahead on your business, might be worthwhile to look at Negotiation Genius, amazing, engaging, and super practical book written by 2 Harvard professors. Cool. Send that a comment, Austin, to me, direct message or something, or a comment on this video after. I'll look that up. DJ Gogna, tips for college student without any money. Work hard to earn more, spend less money, learn to save, and then once you start saving, invest that astutely. Honestly, spend less, earn more, and maximize returns. It's truly and honestly, that's the best thing I can tell you to do. How do you properly gauge potential rents if you don't have a lot of experience? Get the experience. Go on places like Kijiji or PadMapper or all the different, there's a bunch of sites that all do rentals, and you can see the average rental prices and kind of go from there. Yeah, at the end of the day, it just comes down to getting to know the market. And so you can use rules of thumbs like, oh, this area gets $500 a bedroom. So if I did the same thing, it's a 3-bedroom, I get $1,500 a month or something to that effect. Less bedrooms, you get more. Oh, I still have that kitty sticker on. My daughter put on. Super cute. Keep going here. I'd love to be part of that. I'd love to fly over and learn from you. When is the program happening, or is it full? So currently, yeah, we have 3 people in the mentorship program. I have 3 rooms in my basement, and so they're going to live with me and experience that. People who do that are going to be required to sign non-competes, non-disclosures, things like that, so that it won't come back to bite me. But I will train people. The hope is that each of the people I'm working with in the mentorship program will become part of the A-team and not just go off and do their own thing after. That's kind of the hope. And I'm hoping to build I want a team of entrepreneurs that are sort of on this A-team. I have this dream for this entrepreneurial academy that I wanted to build, and I just don't have the energy, the time to build it. But I would just love to do a series of videos, make it all free, everything free. And the only way we make money from it is by sharing business ideas with each other. That's this entrepreneurial academy vision that I have for myself. But I don't know if it'll ever come to fruition. It's out there. I'm throwing it out to the universe. How many top players do you think are in London? Michael, about 100, I think, are top players. I'm probably in that top 100. Now, that includes a lot of people with old money, right? Like a lot of people who are born with parents with tens of millions who own a lot of real estate. They don't manage a lot of it. They're not actively growing. I think people who are growing at my current rate of growth is probably 5 or 10 in London. Yeah, not many. I'm definitely in the top right now as far as growth. I don't know anyone who's buying a property or 2 a week. That's fast. Definitely, I'm probably on the fastest growing of the trajectories. But yeah, I'm jealous of you guys going to the mentorship. Good luck, guys. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Austin, same. You know what? There could be opportunities in the future, and I'm really excited to see how these guys transform from beginning of this to let's look 3 to 5 years from now. How much these guys are going to be crushing. I guarantee you they're all going to be crushing in different capacities and different levels if they stay the course. I hope no one drops out and just gives up after 6 months and just forgets it all. I really hope they stay the course because it takes time and practice, and it's going to be a grind. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to feel good. It's painful. When you buy your first property and you're in your basement renovating it, you'll get to a point where there's a slump. I remember my 3rd or 4th property, I had 2 of them going at once, and I was just so burnt out and so tired. I wanted to quit with everything in my being. It can't be about the money. At the end of the day, it can't be about the money. It has to be about something bigger than that, something longer than that, something more purposeful than that. And that's what keeps you going. And maybe it's freedom. For me, it's partially freedom, but it's more than that. I just really enjoy building businesses and helping people. I love when my investors make money. I love when I work with people and I hear their success and I hear them grow. When someone gets a deal, I get happy that they got a deal. Someone succeeds in life. I like to be a part of that and have an impact and a change on the world. And so that has always kept me going even today when I don't need the money at all. It's just, I'm doing it because I love it. What areas of business are you most interested in aside from real estate? Yeah, so I'm a true entrepreneur through and through. I've done everything from Kijiji resale to tutoring to, I love all businesses. I really do. But I like most businesses that are stable and easy to understand. I don't like tech businesses. Honestly, people have these fast startup. Everyone's doing a new startup with a new app. And I think a lot of these businesses are going to fail. I like the grassroots, the guy who delivers your bread, who's got a delivery route for all the grocery stores, and he delivers bread in a truck. He's the bread man. I would love to buy a bread man business. I just made this up. But let's say he has 5 trucks on, he delivers all the bread, he has all the contracts. He's doing $1 million a year in deliveries. I would love to buy that and put 2 delivery guys in there, get a warehouse, get things going more efficiently, and run a business like that that's like on the ground, tangible, that I can physically touch, and that's stable and consistent. A tech business, someone else comes out with a better app, you're dead. Because of the better idea, you're dead. That's it. It's all about, I don't like creativity businesses, because the problem with creativity businesses is they're better for owner operated. Like you're a creativity business, I could go in and buy like a graphic design firm. The problem is I'm not the guy, like whoever that was, like Paul, let's just made up a name, Paul, the graphic designer. If I go buy his business, I'm not Paul. I can't do what Paul did, so his business is not useful to me. I can plug and play anyone in delivery driver truck and run that business, and I can logistically make it more efficient. I can come in and add value as a consultant. It's hard for me to add value to an art business, or you know what I mean? Those businesses are better, and they can be, don't get me wrong, they can be extremely successful. Guys like Kyle are going to crush, I think, with his photography and videography and editing and all that stuff. They're going to do really well. I'd never want to buy a business like that, just because how do I add value to that? How do I become, like, I'm not Kyle, right? So how do I plug and play creativity is very difficult to replicate and difficult to scale, I think. It can be done, people do it. You know, marketing firms explode and do really well. It's just not in my wheelhouse. I can help a business I can help them advertise and build in that sense, but I need a solid product at the end of the day, and not like a physical, tangible product at the end of the day. That's just the kind of businesses that I like. Yeah, maybe that'll change over time. Maybe someone will come to me with the best idea ever, and I'll just dump a bunch of money into it. Who knows? I say one thing now, but again, everything can change, and everything does change. Okay, let's go down here. What do you think about buying a franchise? I just got into the stream, so I don't know if you answered it. Future Wiz, good question. I've looked at buying a lot of franchises. I looked at buying a Tim Hortons franchise, a Subway franchise, a McDonald's franchise. I looked at like an oil, quick and lube franchise. I actually looked at some other really cool franchises too. There's so many cool franchise opportunities out there. The value in buying a franchise is the brand. So you have to really believe in the brand that you're buying, because you're going to overpay a ton for that brand. You can make your own sub shop for like nothing and not pay royalties of like 10% to Subway forever. Pros and cons. I think if I was going to buy into a franchise, I'd buy into a really established one in a good location, because location is everything. So if I buy a Subway or McDonald's, I buy an existing Subway or an existing McDonald's. I wouldn't just buy the franchise systems. Now, there is some value to that. Like, let's say you want to start a property management company. You can go buy it from a franchise property management company, pay them $50,000, and they'll give you all the templates for leases, all the templates for eviction forms, all the templates for checklists, for move-in checklists, move-out checklists for units, how to do proper inspections, when to do smoke alarm changes, when to do all the things that I already know how to do. They would give you systems to do all that. So it should be plug and play, right? All these systems to, screen tenants and blah, blah, blah stuff. We're just going to develop our own in-house, because it just doesn't feel like it adds a lot of value to me, like that I can just make my own. So that's why I didn't. But sometimes it does make sense to buy a franchise where you can get some value from that. So it really just does depend on the person. Some people are insanely successful franchises. I know people who buy franchises that crush. Eventually, I'll probably own a McDonald's or a Tim Hortons or something like that. Tim Hortons is declining quite a bit. I've been noticing a lot of people prefer McDonald's coffee to Tim Hortons these days. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about Tim Hortons. It's sad. They're like Canadian, How do you find good contractors? Crowd joy? It's a good question. You don't. It's very difficult. I mean, you do, but you go through a lot. Word of mouth has been my favorite way. Someone who used them for several jobs that I trust. That's the way to go. They've worked with that person. They've used that person on jobs. That's the only way I grow now. I don't hire people through Kijiji. I just stopped all of that. I only go through people that told me they know someone or whatever. And my personal take is I find someone and I bring them on full time, because I want exclusivity from my contractor. I don't want them juggling 3 jobs and putting mine off. I don't want to share. Now, I'll outsource that guy out. Sure, they can go through me to get that guy to do a job for them. That's my preferred way. Future Wiz, Mike, I'm bank account training to the max. The credit card bonus era is coming to an end. If everything goes well, I should have 1K cash in 90 days when the bonus is post. Downsides, I got to park most of my money. Future Wiz, yeah, I love bank account churning and credit card churning. Graham Stephan talks about that a lot on his channel. For a long time, I did a couple of credit card churns, bank account churns. My 40-inch smart TV in my bedroom, I got from TD for opening a bank account. And I've since closed that bank account. They convinced me to open an unsecured line of credit with them for $20,000. I did it. I still have that line of credit open there. I don't use it, but it's there. That's the only thing that came out of that. I think I had to open like 3 products to get the TV. BMO, I did one for $300, signing bonus. It's a lot of work for me, so I just don't bother. But I guess if your time is valuable, definitely take the credit card bonuses, take the bank account bonuses for sure, and close the accounts after. You put the money in the account, and then often they waive the fees, so it's free for you to get the promotion, and then you just close it at the end. How to get zoning changes so you can turn single family into duplex. CrowdJoy, depends. If you're in Ontario, you can do the secondary dwelling unit conversion, and you don't need any zoning changes at all. You can add a second unit here in Ontario anywhere, as long as it meets fire and building codes. So there's no zoning requirement at all. That is a huge relief from Ottawa, pushing down the need for people to be able to house their parents, house their adult kids. And so it's a thing where the City of London was hugely resistant. Now they're forced to allow it, assuming that headroom restrictions like egress windows and all those kinds of things are still kind of in play. Mr. BB says, I heard you can register your property when you buy it for more than you bought it for to make it easier and cheaper to refinance later without having to go to a lawyer again. Mr. Refinance71, I don't know. I know you can register it for $1. I've seen it where people register. You'll see a sale for $1. Yes, you can register it if it's sold privately, so the appraiser can't tell what you bought it for. Now that's important because then they have to do their job and pull comps. They can't go at cost. They can't see what you bought it for. Smart to do, yes. Do you use a real estate agent, mortgage broker, and a lawyer? I am a real estate agent. I do use real estate agents as well who bring me deals. I'm not a mortgage broker. Of course, I have lots of mortgage brokers that I use, and I'm not a lawyer. I took the LSAT, thought I was going to law school, didn't go to law school. Thankful I didn't go to law school. It would have been a huge mistake and a waste of opportunity and cost. For 3 years to grind, pay all that tuition, and for 3 years not to work. That 3 years of not working is like a couple $100,000, which I invested in real estate and turned into like $1 million. So I'm so thankful. It would have cost me over $1 million to go to law school, and that's too expensive. So yeah, I have a good lawyer. We use a partner at a big firm here in London, and they give us a really good deal because we provide a lot of business to them. We recommend a lot of business to them. Everyone asks me for a lawyer. I got a good lawyer that you can use. It's fantastic, especially if we're going to manage the property for you. We'll make sure you got the right contacts to get it done for under legal fees, disbursements, everything on the buy under $1,200. A sell should be about $800. So if you're paying more than that, you shouldn't be. Let us know some of your business ideas in DM. Eager to build a small, profitable business. Yeah, for sure. I think we're going to have in-person conversations about a lot of that too. Yeah. What are your thoughts on the Twitch streaming business? Michael, good question. People are doing it and they're succeeding. A lot of work. You could be successful. Some people are really successful with it. You could even Twitch stream renovations if you want to. Set up your camera and film you doing renovation work. Or gaming stuff too. I never got into it. I don't Twitch stream, but I know people that do and having some success. Thoughts on Colorado and wholesaling? Colorado seems like a great place. Wholesaling, it's possible in any market. So, literally any market. There are people wholesaling in Colorado, 100%. And they're probably killing it too. Jonas says, Tim's was created by former Maple Leaf NHL player. That's right. Tim Horton. I actually have I think his rookie card from 1969. I actually have the hockey card, the original, in my card collection. Saving for someday when they're worth tens of thousands of dollars. Long story. In grade 5, I would put them. It's been what, almost 20 years ago now. something like that, 15 years ago at least, 18 years ago maybe. When I was a really young kid, this girl came to school, and she brought her brother's hockey card collection that he got from his dad in. We were doing trades for Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokemon. We traded some cards, and everyone was like, ew, why do you have these old cards? No one wants old cards. And I was like, I'll make you a deal. I'll give you like my whole deck of Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And $5 for the whole brown bag full. And she was like, deal. And so since then, I put them all in plastic cases and took really good care of them and cleaned them all up. And now I have this huge card collection. Yeah. Thoughts on Roth IRA? That's an American thing. I hear good things about using it, similar to like using an RRSP kind of thing here, I think. Again, I'm Canadian, so we don't have Roth IRAs. Good to be taking advantage of the tax incentives, I think. You should be making a video talking about all the details involved in closing a home. CrowdJoy, sure. I could do a start to finish on what's involved on the buy through to like, home inspection, how do you close when it goes into escrow, like what are the lawyers doing and how does it get closed, and when you close on the property, you go pick up the keys. I could do a really cool, you could do almost like a montage type video where like it's like from the offer sign, it shows them like signing the offer, negotiating, and then like picking up the keys. That's a good idea actually. We should maybe do that. Picking up the keys at the end, going into the property, like the whole scene from start to finish is kind of cool. That'd be a cool little video. Good idea. What type of mortgage loan do you usually use, fixed or variable, and what term? Thank you. It depends. So if the variable rate is more than half a interest percentage point less than the fixed rate, go variable, especially if you think there's going to be less than 2 prime interest rate additional hikes. I think there will be. So if you got a 5-year fixed at 3.99 and a 5-year variable at 3.39, go 5-year variable. If you were to be offered a 3.69 5-year variable and a 3.89 5-year fixed, definitely go fixed. That's an easy no-brainer. So it just depends on what the broker's offering. Some brokers are really competitive on variable stuff. Some are more competitive on the fixed terms. So it just does depend. Of course, it also depends on other factors like time horizon you're going to hold the property. If you're going to hold it for a 2-year period and then sell it, you don't want to go into a 5-year fixed and pay a huge breakout fee on your mortgage. So it might make more sense to go variable. Again, so many factors come into play. Have a good chat with a good mortgage broker about that. Future Wiz says, if you're not a woman with big tits, don't bother doing Twitch. My milkshake's bringing other boys to the yard. Can you just imagine? Mike's milkshake's bringing other boys to the yard. Tips. Come on, watch my video. Thanks for the acknowledgement and respect. No problem, man. Thanks for watching. Thoughts on mutual funds? Don't own them. Ugh, gross. Ugh. Mutual funds have especially in Canada, have the highest MERs of any country in the developed world. MER stands for management expense ratio. It's the fee they take off whether you gain or lose. So it goes to the manager, it goes to the financial planner, about 2.5% of your return. If you held mutual funds versus ETFs over a 30-year period, in 98% of situations, 98%, because in 2% of mutual funds outperform the market, but in 98% of mutual funds, you'll be down 100%. So you'll have half the wealth you would have had you not been in mutual funds over that 30-year period. So don't believe the hype. I know the mutual fund industry still, the MFDA and all the mutual funds dealers association, they love to peddle their products. No. Don't sell your mutual funds. Get out unless they're like a no load type, unless they're like a loaded type where you're stuck for 7 years and you can't get out. It's the case for me. I had to pay a huge breakup fee to get out. I don't trust the government when they say they won't take me later. Laws change. I'm so confused. If you're in the stream, hit the like button and share that. Jonas, that's right. Share it. Share it in Fired Up Finance group. If you're not in my Facebook Fired Up Finance group, you should join that group, and we should be sharing, talking. I gotta go. My daughter wants me to go do bath time. It's 8:20. I'm gonna wrap the stream up. Got offered. Mr. BB says a 5-year variable at 3.25 and a 5-year fixed at 3.75. It's right at the line. It's kind of tricky. I would go 5-year variable, 3.25. Save some money now. Chances are there has to be more than 2 prime hikes, right? So if there's 2 prime hikes and you're back at 3.75 on the variable, you're the same as the fixed. And so for a period of time before those 2 hikes came into effect, you're actually ahead of the fixed term because you're paying 3.25 for all that time. So there need to be like 3 or 4 hikes before you start to really feel it, which I think you wouldn't get. I'm right now bullish on the variable. I used to be bullish on the fixed. And it's just my thoughts. Like, don't hold me to it, guys. Who knows what's going to happen? Mike, I'm going to send you a video on Instagram. You're going to die. All right, sounds good. Hopefully you don't mean literally. Which dividend ETF stocks do you own? I'm not going to give you my stock picks. It's just not me. People are going to judge if I say something and then you go and invest in it and then it tanks. I just feel bad when I share stocks. There's no gain, just losses. My thought would be do your research. And from ETF perspective, check out the Vanguard all-in-one ETF. There's some really good all-in-one ETFs that have compositions of everything. I like the all-in-one. If you're just starting out, buy the all-in-one Vanguard or the all-in-one ETF. It holds literally all-in-one. They've combined all the different funds. You own tiny fractal pieces of everything. And it's got perfect asset allocations. Just buy one fund, good to go. That's what I would do. Park your money there. Titty City and mustache rides. Eric, you dog. So in Vegas, that's a long story actually. When we were in Vegas, Eric, me, there's a couple other guys with us too. What was the name of that guy? Really tall guy. I can't remember his name now. I can't remember his name, but it was Eric, me, Aiden. Can't remember who else was there with us, but anyway, there was these guys trying to get us to strip clubs at every single corner, and they would hand out these pamphlets, and the guy would be like, Aiden had a mustache he was growing at the time. It was like November. We were in like late November, so I think we all had like mustaches or something, and I might have had a goatee, and he said, "You want to ride? I got a free limo. You want to ride to Titty City, baby?" So go on a mustache ride, and all these guys kept coming up to us. Like, that's the long story of that. Mustache rides. It was really funny at the time. Inside jokes. Okay. Eric, by the way, on our property there, if you check my Instagram stories, the front unit's kind of done. We got floors in, painted. We're gonna rent it out. I think we're gonna rent it for like $16.50 a month just to get it cash flowing for now, and then we can finish the basement, add like a 4th kind of +1 room while they're living there. The tenants are cool with that, so that's what we're gonna probably do with that and get cash flow like way ahead of schedule. I just rushed the renovation. It's all done. We should probably put some money in the account there for all that stuff. We should have an offline conversation about that. But things are going well there. I didn't bother you because I know you're busy too. And we're gonna crush those 2 new deals too. I'm really excited for those. Get those financed. I believe in our second finance year to get that done. Okay. I meant to say tax. Okay, got you now. Fernando says, much love, Mike. Stay healthy. Thanks. Don't trust the government when they say they won't tax me later. Laws change. I see what you're saying. Got you. Okay, so it's up to you guys. Sounds like a bit of risk there with trusting the government laws and planning for things like laws being the same and pensions being there and funded. Can you share a passive investing strategy at least? Yeah, all-in-one ETF. I was thinking the same thing. Any good friends other than stock? Any good funds other than stocks for long-term compound interest? Thanks for all the videos. Planning on buying my first rental property this year. Awesome, Anthony. Yeah, I think lending is great. You can do some lending and get some insane compound interest with private lending and unsecured. And you can do secured lending too, like private mortgages and stuff like that. It's a great way to compound your money quickly. You could do kind of money funds, bonds, I guess. Not a big fan of bonds. I would probably park my money in like a high yield dividend fund or like an ETF type fund or an index fund. The all-in-one fund is great too. Really truly is for getting that long-term compounding. Pros and cons of getting a tenant to pay utilities versus you. It depends. Students don't want to. I prefer the tenant pays it obviously because they're more conservative. I'll be done in a sec here. Would you live off ETF dividend income? 100%, Paul, I would. Yeah, I could easily 2-3 times over right now. Definitely. Really, really easy passive strategy. Anyway, I really got to go, guys. Yeah, the Snake Eyes 11 got some examples thrown out there. You can do your own research and see for yourself. what ones you could use to buy some all-in-ones, whatever you want. You can buy your own mix of ETFs, but just make sure you're following a good diversified asset allocation. Check out Saturday's video. It's going to be about making a fire plan. It's going to be really sweet. And I think you can even do a part 2 to that if there's enough demand, if one does well enough. But it gives you like the 12 steps to create a financial plan. So check that out, guys. It's been a pleasure. Thank you all, the 25 of you guys that stayed on for this hour and 15 minutes. Thank you all so much for staying on and watching. You are the loyal following. If you're watching the replay of this video, I want to hear about it. I want you to jump in the comments and say, Mike, just watched all the way through. Maybe you have a question, pop a question down there. Maybe you just want to say hi. Hi. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys all so much. I'm going to end with the slogan that I always do. If you want to build a wealth through you, there are only 3 levers to control your financial future. And in the beginning of your journey, the most important 3 are in this order: spend less, earn more, and maximize returns. And that's all I try to talk about on this channel. Our strategy is to help you spend less, earn more, and to maximize your returns. Now, as you build up wealth, if you've got $500,000 or something in wealth built up, now, of course, the inverse is important, right? Maximizing returns, earning more, and then spending less. When you have $10 million or $100 million net worth, if you're Jeff Bezos, who's going through this divorce, it doesn't even matter. Like, you think if he dropped $1,000, it wouldn't be worth his time to bend over and pick it up. It'd be a waste of his time. So time becomes way more valuable, and your money growth becomes way more valuable than what you're spending. So, but in the beginning of your journey, to build wealth, you need to be spending less. So frugality, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you all so much for watching. You are the loyal crew, and I appreciate you guys. Check out the banner too. Kind of cool that Kyle did. I really think it looks nice. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to end this stream now. Good night. Stay beautiful. Spend less, earn more, and maximize returns.